Now, is there any level of leakage, any minor amount that's like, hey, it could be condensation, I mean, that you could just live with rather than do an expensive repair, or a leak is a leak is a leak, and you've got to get it closed off or it's just going to get worse?
On the sewer line, it may drop just a hair, and that'll be water balancing in the vents, and we'll normally fill it up again to make sure it doesn't leak. We either tell people there is a leak or there is not a leak. Now, if it drops 8 or 9 inches, we know it's normally at a tub. It could be a toilet flange. If it drops 12 to 18 inches, that normally puts it at a lead bin. So we can normally watch the leak, see how far it drops, and kind of determine where we think that it would be, because that's where we find most of them. If it goes all the way down, and tell people, look, this is probably in the main, and they can be a little more severe. Some buyers want to, on the sewer test, also run a camera down. And it's funny, the first time that I had a customer ask me to do that, I was surprised because he wanted the sewer and water test, but he wanted the camera too. I told him, look, the main thing you're worried about is the water leak. I said, that's the main thing. He said, yeah, but I want the camera ran from the two-way clean out to the street. I want to know what the sewer main looks like. And it was really funny because on that particular house, it looked like a roller coaster. It had been repaired multiple times, and he ended up coming in and having the seller redo the sewer main from the house all the way out to the street. He didn't have a leak under the house. The sewer and water tested fine under the house. From the house out to the main, he ended up having it replaced, and then he actually paid additionally to reroute it around a certain area of the backyard because he was wanting to add a swimming pool later.
That guy knew what he was doing.
It's thinking ahead, but then again, he was smart enough to test his house before he bought it.
Right, and he avoided the problem that had obviously occurred several times, but as you say, not underneath the house. So the house itself might be your major problem to worry about, or a major situation to worry about, but it's not the whole thing if you've got a little bit of property around it.
Especially if there's a little property around it, because that sewer line may be 100 feet long on a bigger property.
Right.
And that's going to be more expensive. If I was buying a house these days, which I'm a plumber, so it's easier for me to say, I'd do a sewer and water test on it no matter what, and I'd go ahead and run the camera too, just to make sure. If there's been repairs under the house, they'll normally show up on a camera because you can run the camera through. And a lot of the older houses in Dallas are built with cast iron. Most repairs are done with PVC. So you can run through and see, was that repair done good? Are the lines still lining up? There's a lot of different issues that you can run into that doing a sewer water test and a camera test will help expose.
Tell me about the difference in quality and what you would do if it were your property as far as the cast iron versus the PVC.
As in what? As in the repair?
Yeah, if it were your house, and would you want cast iron put back in if that's possible, or would you just say, nah, PVC is cheaper, let's just put that in, that's fine?
Pretty much everybody's going to PVC these days because even if you put a piece of cast iron in, you're not going to put it in like it was originally made to go together. It was originally made with a hub and actually originally with lead and oakum, but a neoprene gasket that goes in there to where it pushes in, slides in, and locks together. So nowadays, if we opened up a piece of pipe and realized there's a 5-foot section of pipe that's rotted along the bottom of it, we would go back to where we could cut a good piece of pipe, come this end where we can cut a good piece of pipe. We would cut a piece of PVC that will fit in there exactly. And then the gaskets that we're going to use to repair it it's a shear coupling. It's a neoprene gasket that has a real thick rubber band on it, but the shear coupling on it has a stainless steel band around it and stainless steel rings. You know, the O-rings like you clamp on a radiator hose on your car.
Right.
Same type bands, they're larger and they're going to hold this, but the big difference being that stainless steel jacket around it is going to help make it. We run into them a lot where people just use a regular CT adapter, which is just the rubber neoprene with O-rings on each end, and over time the house may shift and it'll cock it. That creates an area where toilet paper, any soft material can slowly build up and stop up, and you're going to run into issues again.